fees typically accounted for 30% of the average earnings of people on the program. So we saw how it was supposed to go. There's one example, I think, that is a lesson on how it went wrong. There was a farm called Corby Farm in UK that needed a lot of workers for asparagus and other high-value crops. They went to Concordia, the scheme operator. Concordia then went to a UK London-based recruitment company called Poseidon. Poseidon then came to a Nepali agent called My Career Solutions. That's where the illegal fees were charged, at this end of the system. And the investigation showed that out of just that one firm with one farm, 150 Nepali workers were potentially charged illegal fees. But that was the bad side of the story. The scheme has now developed, and it's a really, really good point to go back to it, to revisit it, and to look if it's possible to get the whole thing moving again. There are 43,000 visas for 2025. What is interesting now is that there is a requirement by the government that migrant workers are paid a minimum of 32 hours per week, even if they are not working. Okay? That works out, and it must be at minimum UK legal minimum wage. That equates to £1,500 per month, guaranteed. Okay? It wasn't guaranteed before, it is now. According to the figures we discussed, we think average pay in Nepal is about £200. Okay? So it's a completely different balance now. Also, there was a problem with time limits. So people were allowed to go for 6 months. And at the end of the 6 months, that was the end. You had to leave. Agriculture doesn't work like that. Nature doesn't work like that. What happens is you have the crops and you have the weather. Sometimes the crops aren't ready. Sometimes they can't be harvested because it's raining. And the problem was that the farms were saying, hey, we need you to stay for 3 more weeks because we're late harvesting. And the government was saying, no, they can't stay, they have to go. And everyone was saying, well, this is madness. They're sitting down doing nothing, waiting for the rain to stop. And now you want them to go back. That's now been changed. So there is flexibility if requested. The minimum pay per hour in UK is £11.40 per hour. That is going up. So the 1,500 will go up every single year as the minimum wage goes up. Most farms not only pay minimum wage, but also a bonus as well. One of the reasons that it's worth mentioning now that the farms need to pay a bonus is that migrant workers of all types have mobile phones. Why is that important? Because social media. Migrant workers talk to each other on social media, and they tell each other where the best pay is and the best conditions. And so there is a market. It's not just the farm who can choose, it's the migrant workers who can choose. Obviously now we're talking about more pay repatriated to Nepal. And we know that the seasonal workers program will continue till at least 2029. The reality is that it can never stop. going back to the core problem that UK has about seasonal workers. And as I mentioned earlier, the idea that suddenly all of these jobs in agriculture will be taken over by machines is not a reality. Machines can only do so much. Yes, there are machines that can automate. The problem is that they are very, very, very expensive. So the farmer is saying, am I going to invest £1 million in this machine? Or am I going to keep using seasonal workers? In most cases, in terms of capital investment, they do not have £1 million to invest in new machines. So seasonal workers will continue. And there's significant new action being taken by the UK government to stop the abuse of migrant workers by some people. To be honest, I would say that 90, maybe 95% of the farms and the agents are ethical. But as we know with humanity, there's always that 5% who are not ethical. And people need to be protected from those people. So, how can we potentially get this thing moving again for the benefit of Nepal and UK? I think the critical engagement is between UK and Nepal governments about how it can be reactivated at that senior level. The other thing that is required is that this clear indication of how many visas there will be each year is required for everybody. The farmers, the agents, the governments, to know what's happening. The government is now putting pressure on the scheme operators to make sure their recruitment agents are ethical. There were 6 scheme operators. There are now only 5. One of them got sacked. From the workers' perspective, the important thing is that they're not restricted to one sponsor. If they have 6 months and the work stops with one sponsor, they need to be allowed to go to another sponsor to get work. They need to be able to move where the work is, not stay in one place if the work stops. And the time limit is now less strict, and it could be better if it was even less strict. The whole concept of the worker should not pay is seriously being discussed, and how that works needs to be addressed. In UK, there is a discussion to say, well, why should the worker pay a visa fee? Should that not be the farm that pays the visa fee, or the scheme operator? And there is a movement to put the seasonal worker scheme into UK labour regulation, so the workers are protected by UK law like any other UK worker, and in safety regulations as well, because farms are dangerous places. There is also an investigative body in UK that checks up that this is being done ethically. This is called the GLAA. In 2023, their funding was £7 million, okay? That's £7 million to supervise 43,000 migrant workers over thousands of farms across the entire United Kingdom. It is not enough money. The UK government department, the Home Office, that runs the GLA, spends more than £7 million on printing documents internally. That is how low that figure is. The estimate is it should be at least 3 to 4 times. There was a government report in July 2023 in UK suggesting these changes need to be made. There have been investigations saying these changes need to be made. As you may know, we now have a new government in UK, a Labour government that is pro-Labour. And hopefully that will mean that they are looking at these things again. Okay, they've only been in a couple of months. But I'm sure that in the future, given that they work with the unions, they work with Labour, and they are dedicated to working people and helping have an ethical workplace for everybody, whether they're citizens or migrant workers, the new government will be open to ideas on how this can be reinitiated. So that the questions, I think, that revolve around this are relatively simple. We just need to answer them. How can we make sure that those recruitment agencies are doing it ethically? Money is their motive. The question is, do ethics suffer because of the profit motive? Where are the loopholes in the system? And that's a challenge in any form of recruitment. Even when I was recruiting talent for banks, you could see there were agencies whose behavior was not ethical, even recruiting UK citizens. How can we safeguard migrant workers' rights? That's fundamental to the point we made about the new government's approach. And how can they be enforced? My point about if you're only paying the agency that enforces them virtually nothing in relation to the job you want them to do, then you have to make a new decision. The cross-border challenges. From my experience, example, UBS was in certainly over 70, nearly 80 countries. Each had different regulation. Each had different labour laws. The cross-border dynamic is a maze of complications. And it's how do you deal with that? Particularly labour laws. Even within the EU. Even before UK left the EU, the labour laws in UK were completely different in some ways to the labour laws just over the border into France, which were different to the labour laws just over the border into Spain. If you then extend it transnationally, it's even more complex. The technology thing is interesting because the technology enables more effective recruitment, more effective assessment of people, more effective planning, but there are restrictions on that in terms of the privacy, effectively opportunity versus risk. How can you utilize technology to make this work more smoothly, but ensure that there is protection in terms of personal data and other things? This is a massive issue. Now AI is coming into the process by which people can be identified and recruited. And if you go on to any of the sort of major social media channels for senior HR people talking about recruitment, the fundamental question of data integrity and personal privacy is top of the list. So these are the key players, we think, in the game. Governments, private sector, recruitment agencies, NGOs, the issues around tech firms supplying services to the recruitment agencies. What are academia and research institutions doing about giving us data that shows us what's happening in terms of the workforce? Media, how is this portrayed in the media? It's interesting that I would say in the UK media, The UK media generally are extremely keen and positive about migrant workers. Why? Because, as I said before, if we don't have migrant workers, food rots in the fields. And international cooperation. So hopefully that's given you an overview. What we wanted to do was just to pose a question to you, which was to say, if we are where we are now, what would be one action that Nepal could take to try to start this process moving again to get the benefits that it deserves? Yeah. So what I'd suggest is, if at each table you can just take 2 minutes, 3 minutes to talk about your ideas, and when we've had that time up, we'd like somebody from each table just to give us your one thing that you think should happen to make it work again in the future. Okay? Okay. Does everybody understand? What's one critical action you think can be taken? Discuss at your table. One person then gives us the idea you have. So I'll give you 2 to 3 minutes, okay? Okay. Can you hear me okay? Yes, excellent. Good. Unfortunately, the Secretary is in a rush. The importance of government business. He'd like to say a few words to you all now on this particular subject. So, Mr. Secretary, please.
You will send me these matters in my email.
Yeah.
Then I discuss the ministry, and then I send you in my from our side.
Okay.
From our ministry and from our website.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Mr. Chris Havoc from GIL Advisor Speaker, for your warm presentation. Under Secretary from Moles, Ms. Sita Dwadi, President of NAFIN, Mr. R. Vandari, Chairperson of the Nivida Concerned Private Limited, Mr. Saroj Pokhrel, former Mayor of the Jiri Municipality, Dolakha, look like Switzerland, Mr. Tanka Bahadur Jirel, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. Express warm greetings and appreciation for the ongoing cooperation between Nepal and the United Kingdom. Nepal established diplomatic relations with the United Kingdom in 1816. Historic ties and a strong diplomatic relationship between the two nations, particularly in areas of labor and migration, which begins from the Gurkhas' recruitment to the British Army. Signed MOU between the Government of Nepal and the Government of the UK on recruitment of healthcare professionals on 22 August 2022. Implementation protocol to the MOU between the two governments on the recruitment of healthcare nurses was also developed and signed. Nepali nurses are currently working in the National Health Service health system of the UK. Acknowledge the significant contribution of the Nepali workforce in the UK, particularly in sectors with healthcare, hospitality, and construction. Emphasize the importance of protecting the rights and welfare of Nepali workers abroad, including ensuring fair wages, health and safety standards, and anti-exploitation measures. Explore opportunities for collaboration in skills training and capacity building programs for Nepali workers to meet the UK's labour market demands. Propose joint initiative or scholarship programs for Nepali students and workers to acquire skills in the UK and contribute to Nepal's development upon return. Highlight the growing demand for seasonal workers in the UK, especially in agriculture, hospitality, and other sectors with temporary labour needs. Stress Nepal's capacity to provide a skilled and disciplined workforce for such seasonal roles. Stress the importance of transparent and ethical recruitment practices to avoid exploitation, trafficking, or fraud in the process. Appreciation for the fair and transparent recruitment of Nepali nurses to the national health system of the UK. Suggest cooperation on ensuring that recruitment agencies in both Nepal and the UK follow international labour standards, possibly with oversight from both governments. Propose collaboration in key sectors where there is a demand for skilled workers such as healthcare, IT, construction, engineering, hospitality, and agriculture. Propose joint skills development programs to ensure that workers are well prepared and have the necessary qualifications for roles, particularly in agriculture, hospitality, and construction. Address the need for skills training and returning migrants from the UK or other countries to help them reintegrate into the Nepalese economy. Propose collaborative programs that provide these workers with skills that are relevant both locally and internationally, fostering entrepreneurship and employment opportunity in Nepal. Reaffirming Nepal's commitment to strengthening its partnership with the UK in labour and migration sectors. Invite further dialogue and cooperation on shared interest, ensuring that both countries benefit from a fair and ethical labour relationship. Thank you for join and participate me in this program. Thank you.
Okay. Minister.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good to see you. Thank you.
Please send me.
Yes, I will.
Shall we take the mic and go near the two?
Yeah. So, has anyone got any thoughts, any ideas? Sorry, you would... Ah.
Krish, so the audience may not be prepared, okay, to answer in 2-3 minutes. So let us finish our program, and then after the program, we'll have the discussion about, or is it the...
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, after the discussion, what we think is a good idea is that you can take time to talk to each other about what you have seen over lunch, and you can debate what you think will make a real difference. So, and then we can come back to that later. So, the plan is, now we are going to have lunch, and we are going to have 30 minutes for lunch, and then we're going to come back in here, and then I'm going to give you some insights around how you accelerate success in your organizations through people using the concept of talent development, growing people to produce organizations that are successful, people that are happy, and build economies that are successful as well. So thank you for your time this morning, and all I have to say is thank you. Time for lunch.
And Krish will be sharing his secrets that can lead people, organization, and individual to attain success. So let's give Krish a big hand, and let's start Accelerate Your Success.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, hopefully you have had a good lunch. So, we talked this morning about the importance of workers and giving them good jobs and ethics and all of that. To make that happen, that requires good leadership. So what I want to do is I want to give you an insight into how you as individuals, particularly if you are leaders, can be more effective. That will then enable your teams to be more effective, which enables your organization to be more effective, which then enables NEPAL to be more effective. And the whole principle is to accelerate success, to have a new dawn of where you can take your teams and your organizations. Okay, the internet has gone again. You can put those ideas on your mobile phone. So all you need to do is, if you are connected to the Gofond International Wireless Network, where you saw earlier on, if you now scan that QR code with your phone, you can give me some answers to some questions that I will be asking as we go through. So, we're living in a dynamic world, and that's the challenge that we all have as leaders, as people, as organizations, and as countries. There's economic instability across the world at the moment. There are conflicts across the world at the moment. In addition to that, there's climate change that is spreading across the world. In organizations, we have hybrid working in some cases, how people manage to work at home and work in the office. In addition to that, we have employees who are exhausted. So sometimes, if you're a leader, it makes you feel that your head is getting too full. And now we have AI coming as well. So how do you feel sometimes is a little bit like this, that you are sinking under everything that you have to do. But there is an answer that is quite simple that I have developed over all of that time I was in the military, in business, and in government. That there is a simple answer we can all use to accelerate our success. The fundamental problem is that leaders don't have enough bandwidth, don't have enough time to do everything they want to do or need to do. What is the problem? The problem is this, that leaders think of their leadership as a nice house. Yeah? I have all of these leadership skills. This is my leadership skill house, and it's okay. But the problem is, it isn't actually okay. The problem is, for most leaders, their house, they don't know about this, but their leadership house looks like this. Why does it look like that? Because if you look at all the evidence, most leaders have not been given the skills they need to do the job properly. How do we know that? If we look at the studies from across the world, the evidence is, one study, UK, 82% of leaders had not been given all the skills they needed to do their job. That meant that organizations were underperforming maybe by 23 or more %. It meant that those leaders who were not given all the skills, their people were 50% more likely to go and get another job. All of the leaders I have spoken to, those 24,000, 99.5% have said, this might be my problem. Let's understand more. In English, we have an expression. We call it the elephant in the room, which means it is a big problem, but nobody wants to talk about it. Everyone can see it. Everybody knows it's there, but nobody wants to say it's there. This is a problem that organizations are not talking about anywhere in the world. I have spoken about this in the US, UK, and all those other countries. Amman, Middle East, Chennai, Delhi, Myanmar, Beijing, and all leaders say the same. So it's a worldwide problem. And I'm thinking it might be a problem here as well. In the next 35 minutes, I want to make you understand that you can be like this. Okay, there is no sea in Nepal, but the idea of you surfing a wave of success. And how can we do this? We can do it very simply. 4 steps. 1, all leaders have to do is optimize task delivery. Get things done. They need to get the best from their people to get things done. And then all of the things they're doing need to be aligned to organizational objectives and success. And if leaders can do just those 3 things well, it then gives time to do the next step, which is to find new opportunities to do things better. Now, this is not just about the commercial world. This is about the government world. This is about the not-for-profit world. This is about entrepreneurs. This is about big organizations. This time last week, I was speaking in Helsinki to an audience of corporate leaders and of entrepreneurs. And they both said, this is a problem I have. Now, because you are here, you are doing some of these things already. That's why you are in this room. But I want to show you how you can do them even better. Because the evidence is, if you can, you will become a top 20% leader. What does that mean? That means your performance will be in the top 20% of all the other leaders in your sector, whether that's commercial, public sector, not-for-profit. How do these 3 things all work together? Because it isn't one after the other. They all interact. And what happens is that optimized task delivery, doing things well, helps get the best from everybody, which then aligns to key objectives for the organization. And it goes round in a circle, building up energy. Until then, when the present world is working perfectly, then you can be entrepreneurial. You can look to the future. You can create the future world. Now, for those of you who are entrepreneurs, that idea you will understand. And it's interesting how entrepreneurs can help people, leaders in big organizations, think more entrepreneurially. And leaders in big organizations can help entrepreneurs think in a structured way so they can grow their organizations. And that was exactly what I was doing in Helsinki. So, that first stage, how do you as leaders make sure that you are getting things done as well as possible? There are 5 key things in this area. 1, prioritization. What does that mean? That means doing work that delivers success for the organization, not doing things that doesn't. It's work that delivers organizational success. It's about time management and planning. Can you and your team deliver on time? It's about delegating. Delegating is giving people tasks. If you have to give people tasks, what is the best way to do it? Because if you give people tasks, it gives you time. And that's what you need. But you have to do it effectively. It's about communication. How do people understand what they need to do? How are they motivated by what you say? And it's about feedback. Talking to people every day, telling them how they are doing so they know how to be better. It's that simple. And what I want to do is let's have a look at delegation, because that's what leaders do all the time. Yeah? Get people to do tasks. That's leadership. And to do that, you have to delegate. Just out of interest, have any of you logged into the Slido? Okay, let's do a show of hands then. How many of you have been taught how to delegate tasks in a training program in your career? Put your hands up, please. Anybody? No, that's okay, because the answer from the last audience was no, was 83%. When I ask this question, I have never had in 10 years, other than military, an audience that said more, so an audience that said less than 75% had not been taught to delegate, i.e. only 25% max of any audience have ever been taught to delegate. As I said, last week, only 17%. I had an audience of HR directors and chief executives in UK. Only 12% had been taught how to delegate. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a little secret on how you can get some time. So half the audience, 2 of you, 1 of you who's been taught to delegate, 1 of you hasn't. But I promise you the answer is normally about 80% haven't. So let's find you some more time. This is a little exercise that I want to run with you. This will take 3 minutes, and the evidence is that if you are a leader, this might find you half a working day a week more time. So take a piece of paper and write on that piece of paper 1, 2, or 3 tasks you do regularly. Look at that list and think, is there anything on that list I could delegate to one of my team members? If there is, put the amount of time you would save per week if you did that next to it. And then, if you have 2 tasks or 3 tasks, add up the time you would save per week if you did it, okay? So just take a minute to try that and see what happens. You might find the result is interesting based on all the other audiences I have spoken to. So just write down on a piece of paper 3 tasks you do regularly. Could you give those to anybody else? And if you did, how much time would it save per week? So try that, 1 minute. Has anybody have you written down anything? Okay. All right. Try that. Because I know that for somewhere in the region of 50% of you, if you do that, you will find roughly half a working day a week. About 20% of you would find about 6 hours extra time a week. And somewhere in the region of 10 to 15% of you would find over 8 hours a week.
To the audiences who are having difficulty getting, I'll translate them in Nepali.
Oh, okay.
And to the audience who are having difficulties to understand Krish, for them I'm going to say what he's saying in Nepali. So delegation means हामीले आफ्नो काम जुन अरूले गर्न सक्छ त्यो अरूसँगै गराउँदाखेरि हामीले कति टाइम सेभ गर्न सक्छौँ। जुन काम हामीले अहिले आफै गरिरहेका छौँ त्यो काम यदि हामीले कुनै स्टाफलाई हामीले डेलिगेट गरिदिरहेका छौँ भने कति हामीले टाइम सेभ गर्न सक्छौँ। र क्रिसले सोध्दै हुनुहुन्छ यदि हामीले कुनै यस्तो टास्क छ जुन हामीले इजिली अरूसँग गराउन सक्थ्यौँ हाम्रो इन्भल्भमेन्ट बिना, त्यो टास्क यदि हामीले कसैलाई डेलिगेट गरिदियौँ भने हामीले एक हप्तामा कति टाइम सेभ गर्छौँ होला, एक दिनमा कति टाइम सेभ गर्छौँ होला, त्यसलाई नोट डाउन गर्नुहोस्। अनि तपाईले नोट डाउन गर्नुभएको अनुसार केही बेरमा स्लाइडोबाट क्युआर आउनेछ र त्यसमा तपाईले आफ्नो प्रतिक्रिया, आफ्नो एन्सर सबमिट गर्न सक्नुहुन्छ र हामी हेर्नेछौँ। धन्यवाद।
Okay, what are they going to do now?
Wait for a minute.
Yeah. And what they that's Slido code, okay? If you go into that QR code, the question should come up on your phone. Then you can answer it. Then, as you were saying, if you do that exercise, how much time have you saved per week? Okay, we have a tech problem with, no, it's come back? Okay. So if you take the Slido code, and what should happen should be, you should, if you ask yourself those questions, if I give this task to someone else, how much time will I save? No? Okay, all right, well, okay, forget the Slido. We have a tech problem, it's not coming up. So, just some point in time, do that exercise yourself. Write down those tasks that you do regularly. Could you give any of those to a member of your team? If so, how much time would it save? And then do it. The next question is, how do we get the best from people? And that's all of you, sometime in your career, will have been giving your best. Because that time, you were happy to go to work. Why were you happy to go to work? Because you were inspired at work. Why were you inspired at work? Because you had a great boss. And because you had a great boss, you felt good. And I'm sure that all of you will have felt like that at some point in your career. Now, the lesson that you learn from that great boss you had is about doing what they did for you for other people. And I say you will get copies of these slides. So the next question is, when you think about the best boss that you ever had in your life, what did they do each day for you that made them so special, made them the best boss you ever had? Okay? And it's a good exercise to think about that best boss and write down what were the things they did for you. Now, This question I ask of leaders around the world. And they tell me what their boss did. And what is powerful is that it does not matter where in the world I ask the question. The answers are always the same. The same answer about what my best boss did. Anywhere in the world, any sector, business, government, it's always the same list. And these are what people say. Just simply, my boss gave me good targets. My boss told me what was happening. My boss developed me. My boss let me get on with things and didn't interfere. My boss praised me when I had done good work. My boss respected me as a person and a professional. My boss supported me when I needed it. My boss had integrity. My boss built trust with me. My boss was honest. My boss led by example. My boss listened to me. My boss asked for my ideas. My boss showed they cared about me as a person. My boss didn't blame me for genuine mistakes. That's an interesting one. My boss was fair and treated me decently. My boss supported me. And my boss inspired me because they were so enthusiastic. It's always that list. And if you take that list and if you think about your best boss, you will have the same list. If you take that list and do more of those things, you will get the best from your people. Guaranteed. So think about that and try that. In a team, if you do more of those things, you can get 30% more effort from 60% of people. If you are in an organization and all leaders do that, how much more could your organization achieve if you were getting 30% more effort from 60% of people? When you look at those simple actions by a boss, and every leader in an organization does those things, what happens? The evidence is clear. Performance goes up. Flexibility to do different work goes up. Efficiency of process goes up. Innovation improves. People stay in the job and don't leave. Risk and safety are better. People feel better. Employee engagement, which is a measure of how much your people give, goes up. And the evidence is if you are in the business world, you can get 10% on bottom line, i.e. profits, more just by doing those actions which don't cost any money. I worked with a house building company in UK. They got all the leaders in their organization to do those things more. Within 2 years, they first had 40% of their workers would say to their friends or family, "Come and join us." In 2 years, by doing those actions, it was 80% of their workers were saying to friends and family, come and join us. The results were better performance, better product, better profits, just by doing those actions. How come it's so powerful? Just doing those simple things. Because when you ask people to do their best for you, 60% is it a good plan? 40% is, do I trust my boss? That is how powerful the trust is. This works almost automatically. Okay? This is a human brain. And if you or I or anybody do something that you like, this works automatically. Because if you do something I like, I will respond positively. I will show you I like it. And I will be in a good mood. And you see I am in a good mood, and that makes you feel good. And we create a circle of feeling good, feeling motivated. And it's automatic because it's powered by two chemicals in our brain, serotonin and cortisol. Now, when you do the things on that list, when you create a place where people work and they feel good, what is happening in their brains? This is what is happening. They have tested this. This is really what is happening in their brains. Their brains are making new connections, new electrical connections. And those new electrical connections make their brain speed up. So when you are in a good workplace, your brain is thinking and doing so many things. It actually makes your brain grow. A good workplace makes your brain grow. It grows your capability to do the job. It grows your creativity. It builds trust to do the job. It grows your belief in your organization. It helps you grow your mindset to think wider. It helps you learn from mistakes, and it makes you be more entrepreneurial. Just by those simple actions. But if it is a bad workplace and people are in stress, this is what happens. And this causes adrenaline to flow. Adrenaline closes down your brain. So in a bad workplace, people's brains slow down and they do less work. The challenge that you all have is to make everyone want to do everything. You want people not to say, I don't care, but to say, I do care about what happens. Why is this so important? In an organization, if you say to people, we have a new thing we must do, normally, out of all of your workers, about 16 to 17% will say, I think this is a good idea. About 70% will say, I will wait and see what happens. 15, 16 say, I don't want to do it. Those actions on that list move this. Those simple actions get you to 30% saying, yes, I want to do this. If you get to 30%, that is enough to make sure it actually happens. Because the 60% join with the 30%. And your project works, your change works, getting things done works better. So now your people are giving you their best. But do they know why they are giving their best? Organizations say, just do your job. You do not need to know anything else. But if leaders want people to give their best, they need to see and understand the picture around them. What does the boss want to have happen? What are these people doing? How can these people help me? And telling them how this big picture works inspires them. Explaining how the big picture of the organization works can get up to 36% more effort. It aligns, it focuses effort. It builds understanding. It builds networks. You're here to network. It builds networks because people talk to each other. It enhances agility, makes people more effective. But the greatest thing is it creates one organization. What do I mean by that? You all know in big organizations, in big government departments, it's not really one organization. It's many little organizations who often do not talk to each other enough. Then when you are doing those things, it gives you time to look outside, to look at the wide world and say, where are the opportunities for the future? What I say is it is a we can culture. It's not a we can't culture, we won't culture. It's yes, we can do this for our organization. Yes, this organization, it's not about me, it is about us as a team, us as an organization. And that's what you can create. And what is even more interesting is for those of you who are senior leaders, if you do these things as well, your leadership example produces extra impact because people are looking at you and saying, the chief executive shows he cares about us as employees. That can add another 20% of effort. So leading by example is proven to get extra effort in organizations. The work in UBS where we did this massively increased profits, but with less people, and won many awards, proving these things I'm talking to you about work. So, if you do these simple things, what benefits can you get? You could get half a working day, a week, more time. You could get 30% more effort from 60% of people. You could get 30% more things done by people networking and talking. You will get all of those other things in terms of customer focus, efficiency. And you could get, if you're in a commercial organization, 10% on your profits for free. The power of this is that you can make this happen from tomorrow. Because one, most of you in the room are already doing these things. You just need to focus more on those that add most value. It's your current experience. It's nothing new. You know about this already. It's taking it up a gear. In organizations, they say there is 40% more emotional power. What do I mean by that? It's the difference between, as an employee, I am doing my job, to, as an employee, I believe in my boss. I believe in my organization. I believe in what we are doing. And I will give my best because I believe. And you can do more of it from tomorrow. So what I want to leave you with, just before I finish, is the things that I have said. What I would like you to do is, I would like you to think about one thing that you can do as a result of what I have said in the future. Yeah? What I'd like you to do is, I would like you to write that one thing down on a piece of paper so you have it in your hand, so you can go and do it. And I will leave you with 1 minute to write down on the piece of paper one action you will take from the things I have said. Do you want to?
क्रिसले हामीलाई विभिन्न आइडियाहरू सेयर गर्नुभयो जसले गर्दा जसलाई इम्प्लिमेन्ट गरेर हामीले आफ्नो अर्गनाइजेसनको प्रोडक्टिभिटी बढाउन सक्छौँ हाम्रो अर्गनाइजेसनमा हुने जुन नेगेटिभिटीहरू छ त्यसलाई कसरी कम बनाउने र क्रिसले भन्नुभए अनुसार एउटा ठुलो अर्गनाइजेसन एउटा त भनिन्छ तर एउटा हुँदैन त्यो भित्र विभिन्न ग्रुपहरू हुन्छ ग्रुपिजमहरू हुन्छ विभिन्न छुट्टा छुट्टै भएर काम गरिरहेका हुन्छन् अब जुन यो आजको हाम्रो सेसन भयो यसबाट हामीले जे कुराहरू सिक्यौँ त्यो मध्येको एउटा तपाईले कुन कुरा इम्प्लिमेन्ट गर्नुहुन्छ जसले तपाईको अर्गनाइजेसनमा तपाईको करियरमा सक्सेस ल्याउनेछ र तपाईलाई र तपाईको अर्गनाइजेसनलाई अगाडि बढाउनेछ त्यो एउटा शब्द लेख्नुहोस् कुनै एउटा पेपरमा.
Okay, 1 minute. Have you all got one thing you can do? Yes? Good. Okay. I promise you it will make a difference. So, if you are on the Slido and it's still working, if you click there, you will be able to connect to me on LinkedIn and check articles and other things. What I want to finish off on is about teamwork, about what happens when people come together to work together because they believe in what they are doing. This is something that I did, and it has a lesson for everything that I have said. So this is 30 seconds of 800 people all doing one thing together, but every person is doing something different to the others. that is the final parade at the Royal Military Academy Sandhurst, where British Army officers are trained. To support the development of British Army officers at that academy, there are about 50 or 60 Gurkha soldiers who help train the next generation of British officers. Why is that important? Well, it's important because of your links to the British Army, but it's also important because of this. The motto of the Royal Military Academy Sandhurst is serve to lead. That the leader is there to help the team be the best they can. It is not about the leader getting the benefit. It is about the leader giving their people trust, giving their people belief, supporting their people. And that is what the British Army does, and that is what your Gurkha soldiers do when they're in the British Army. Your Gurkha officers, they do that. They serve to lead their people. And that is what your best boss in your career was doing for you. They were doing serve to lead. And if you can just remember those words for your career, serve to lead, and do that with those simple actions, you will be so successful. It will take your success up and up. And let me tell you about the two simple questions. And to make sure you really understand what I'm talking about, you are going to translate. So, my last night at that academy, we held a party. The last night at the academy, we had a party.
क्रिस जब मिलिट्री हुनुहुन्थ्यो उहाँको लास्ट एकाडेमीको लास्ट रात्रि पार्टी थियो.
At that party, an instructor who had lots of military experience said something to me.
र त्यस राति एकजना मिलिट्री अफिसर जो एकदमै अनुभवी हुनुहुन्थ्यो उहाँले क्रिसलाई केही भन्नुभयो.
He said, if you cannot remember anything we said here, remember this.
यदि तपाईले यहाँ जे जति सिक्नुभयो त्यसमध्ये केही रिमेम्बर सम्झन सक्नु भएन भने एउटा चीज सम्झनु होला.
When you get to wherever you are going,
तपाई कुनै परिस्थितिमा हुनुहुन्छ र कुनै अप्ठ्यारो परिस्थितिमा हुनुहुन्छ भने पनि
on that first morning, when you walk out and see your first soldiers,
जब तपाई त्यस दिनको बिहानी आफ्नो फर्स्ट सोल्जरलाई आफ्नो फर्स्ट सिपाहीलाई देख्नुभयो भने
you will have questions about them. You will have questions about them.
तपाई उहाँहरुकै बारेमा केही प्रश्न गर्नुहोस्.
But they have questions about you, but only 2 questions. They will have questions about you, but only 2.
उहाँहरुसँग तपाईको बारेमा क्वेशन्स होला तर 2 वटा मात्रै.
And you must get 2 yes answers very quickly.
र तपाईले त्यस क्वेशनको आन्सर यसमा सक्दो चाँडो जवाब दिनुपर्ने हुन्छ.
And the 2 questions are this.
र त्यो 2 प्रश्नहरू हुन्.
1, Does he know what he is doing?
के उहाँलाई थाहा छ कि उहाँ के गर्दै हुनुहुन्छ?
2, do I trust him?
के म उहाँलाई ट्रस्ट गर्छु, उहाँमाथि मलाई विश्वास वा भरोसा छ?
And then he said,
अनि उहाँले भन्नुभयो,
if you get 2 yes answers,
यदि तपाईँले यसमा जवाब पाउनुभयो भने
those soldiers will
complete the sentence.
those soldiers will work hard for you,
र यदि उहाँहरूको जवाब यस छ भने त्यस सिपाहीले तपाईँको लागि हार्डवर्क गर्नुहुन्छ,
they will go through hell for you,
तपाईँको लागि नर्कमा पनि जान तयार हुन्छन्, मर्न तयार हुन्छन्,
and if necessary, they will die for you.
र भने जस्तै यदि आवश्यक पर्यो भने तपाईँको लागि आफ्नो ज्यान दिन पनि तयार हुनुहुन्छ।
Now, in your world, you just need the first 2.
र हाम्रो 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 संसारमा हामीले पहिलो दुईटा मात्रै हामीलाई आवश्यक पर्छ,
Not the last one, I hope.
अन्तिम बेला हामीलाई जरुरी नपर्ला, भन्नुको अर्थ हाम्रै लागि मरिदियोस् भन्ने हामीलाई आवश्यक नपर्ला, तर हामीमाथि भरोसा गर्नु पर्यो र हाम्रो लागि केही गरिदिन सक्ने हुनु पर्यो।
But it is those 2 questions that people ask of you as a leader, and you need 2 yes answers.
र एज अ लिडर तपाईँलाई बढी सोधिने प्रश्नहरू, बढी आउने प्रश्नहरू यी दुईटा हुन् र यो प्रश्नहरूमा हामीले यस पाउन सक्नुपर्ने हुन्छ।
Thanks. And if you get those 2 yes answers, if you do the things on that list, if you do those, your people will believe. They will give their best. It will accelerate your success, and you will achieve your vision. Your team will achieve its vision. Your organization will achieve its vision. And if you and the other leaders in Nepal can do that, serve to lead, Nepal will achieve its vision. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris, for the leadership lessons that you have shared with us, and it will obviously impact on our implementation when we apply what we have learned today from this leadership lesson. We're definitely going to get success. And for now, we're going to invite our Director of Gofond International, Mr. R.P. Sharma Lamichhane, for his speech. So let's welcome him with a big hand.
Ladies and gentlemen, esteemed guests and fellow advocates for ethical recruitment, good afternoon. As we gather here today, I am reminded of the immense power that purpose holds. Purpose drives us, it fuels our action, shapes our decisions, and defines our legacy. And today, our purpose coverages to create a more responsible and compassionate recruitment landscape. At the heart of ethical recruitment lies the recognition of human dignity. Every person seeking employment deserves respect, fairness, and protection. Let us commit to treating each job seeker not as a statistic but as an individual with dreams, aspirations, and families to support. Transparency builds trust. Employers, agencies, and policymakers must be transparent about recruitment processes, fees, and terms. Let us be the torch bearers of transparency, ensuring that no hidden agendas compromise the well-being of our workforce. To the employers, I would like to say, you hold immense influence. Fair wages, safe conditions, and growth opportunities are not just business decisions, they are moral imperatives. Let us lead by examples demonstrating that profitability and ethics are not mutually exclusive. To the agencies, I would like to say, you are the bridge between dreams and reality. Your role is pivotal. Let us be guardians of justice, ensuring that no one falls victims to debt, bondage, or exploitation. And to the governments and policymakers, your decisions shape lives, enact robust legislation, enforce it diligently, and hold violators accountable. Let us create an ecosystem where ethical practices thrive. Education empowers. Let us invest in pre-departure training, equipping job seekers with knowledge about their rights and responsibilities. Let us empower them to make informed choices. Technology accelerates recruitments, AI platforms and algorithms play a role. Let us wield technology ethically, ensuring it serves humanity rather than exploit it. In closing, let us remember that ethical recruitment isn't a checkbox. It is a commitment. It is about lives transformed, families uplifted, and communities strengthened. Let us be the architects of recruitment landscape where compassion meets competence. Thank you for your dedication to this cause. Together we can build a future where recruitment isn't just about filling positions, it's about fulfilling dreams. May this conference ignite lasting change. Thank you.
Hello everyone. Thank you very much for coming to the program. I hope this is the start of ethical recruitment. As we have seen in the past, because of some people's personal profit or short-term profit, it has made a huge disadvantage to many people who would have got the opportunity to work for to work as a seasonal worker. They would have got this opportunity, but because some people at some point, because of their some short-term gain, they charged more with the labors. Some things went wrong, and like many Nepali workers get deprived from this opportunity. So this conference aims ethical recruitment practices is to be done in the future, and our policymakers would make some policies that would help shape these recruitment agencies and keep everything under track and control, so that no workers is cheated and nobody has to pay more than they should. And we're coming to end of our program, but would like to request you to wait for a few minutes. We have some participation certificates for a few of our invited organizations. So I'd ask you to wait for a few minutes. Okay. Thank you. if you have some suggestions, some ideas that you would like to share, we want to hear from you. Anyone who would like to share his view, opinion, or ideas may raise hands. Okay.
Thank you, everyone, for giving me a chance to share some opinion, which we have already got some lessons by our the guests. I don't have any others many words to say. I just get to know that by one topic is really important. On the goals, leaderships, to be a success person, to be a successful person, all the way we have to be a good persons. Only the good leaders can be good leadership always, and he can handle his all the journeys. He can do it by starting his family background. Also, he can be a good parents. Same way to handle any organizations, any team. Only need to be a good person, to be a success person. He will always handle his community, his team, his worker by the good relationship with the workers and with the good manners, with the respect the persons. Then there is some other persons who can be a good persons and who can be a successful persons. He's supposed to be a person. By learning, he will always follow the rules of the by his boss, what he learned. That's it. I don't have any words to say. Then I just want to share one other word also. There is so many people in the world around us. They want to only complain to the boss. They are not happy with their work. They are not happy with their salary. They are not happy with their colleague. On my guess, this is not only my suggestions, this is not only my opinions, this is just opinions. Somehow we have to follow the rules of the gods also. So this is not the words came out by the man. This is, I'm going to really tell you the words. This word has come out by the Heavenly Mother. Hope some will understand it. Although others do not work, let us work faithfully without complaining. When we work with the mindset of honors, we can work with joy and else. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, we thank you very much. And someone else who would like to share his idea, thoughts, opinion about any topic we discussed today?
Did you want to say what you were going to do? Yeah. Do you want to?
That's fine. I already told you.
Yeah, you told me. Okay, that's all right.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for being here today. It's me, Johnson Mahajan. Today we have gathered here to express our heartfelt gratitude to the Gofond International Limited for the remarkable decision to hire the seasonal workers from Nepal. It's not just a pleasure, but it's a necessity to talk about very important the process of hiring seasonal workers from Nepal to the UK and how we are how we can assure this process is safe and fair for everyone involved. This is not just a job opportunity, it's a bridge of hope connecting two nations, and two cultures, and two dreams. Let's start talk about the opportunity in the UK. Could you explain what type of seasonal work are most demand? On more uplifting notes, the hardworking Nepalese individual who are seizing this opportunity, what advice would you give to those considering seasonal worker? At last, a simple question. Why isn't Gofond office established in Nepal? Establishing an office in Nepal would be a beneficial and smooth operation, whereas candidate can directly connect to the companies, and I think it will be the best and safer and fair for everyone who can involve. Thank you.
Okay. Right. First of all, what areas of the season is the seasonal work in? It's effectively any area of agriculture where there is a seasonal demand. And because agriculture is about, generally speaking, either animals or crops, plants, normally it's the plants, yeah? The animals are 12 months of the year, all the time. It's the plants, the crops, where you have seasonal work. They have to be planted, then nothing happens as they grow, then they have to be harvested. So it's those 2 points, planting, harvesting, where the demand comes in. So it could be anything. It could be vegetables, so carrots, all of that, potatoes. It could be high quality, high value, things like asparagus. What's asparagus in asparagus? Oh, okay. High quality, supermarket, expensive vegetables. Yeah, not cheap vegetables, not potatoes, not carrots, but the high quality vegetables that take a lot of time to harvest. So what happens is it's quite simple. As I said, there is not enough demand. It's more the harvest, bringing the crops, the food in, than the planting. Most of the time the planting, which is March, April, can be done with machines. But it's the harvest, which will be August, September, October, where the workers are needed, or there are some crops, some foods, where you can have a March and April harvest. So if you take wheat, yeah, you can have a wheat harvest in September, October, but there you can now have a wheat harvest in March and April. So there is a steady flow of wheat over the whole year. You understand? Not just a lot in September and October, then nothing. Okay? So that's where the demand is. What I would say is, it is like any job. It is about, 1, know what you want to do. 2, investigate the job opportunity. Does it meet your needs? 3, understand the risks. 4, minimize the risks by working with ethical people. Then it should be okay. Yeah?
This is, you mean this?
Yeah, what is it?
Kurilo.
Kurillo, yeah, Kurillo. Yes, it's expensive. Yeah. High value, it's high value, right. So it's not like potatoes. So potatoes are everywhere in the field. Yeah, asparagus is expensive. It has to be cut, you know. Oh, you have here? Okay. Well, now you know. Kathmandu asparagus. Good. So, I did not need to explain. You know it already. Good. Okay. Any other questions? Okay. We're going to do the certificates.
Yes. Okay.
Go on.
Okay. Now, would like to invite a representative from Sudha Medical to come and receive the certificate for participation. And I'd also like to invite Chris to hand over it to them. Participant from Sudha Medical.
Pleasure.
A round of clap for him.
Thank you. Well done.
Now, I'd like to invite a representative from Buddha International Medical Center. And now I would like to invite a representative from Lasho International Education Consultancy. Okay, he's absent. And now from LNR Healthcare. Okay. And now, a representative from Asian Diagnostics, please come to the stage. Let's welcome. And now I'd like to invite a representative from Worldwide Medical Center Private Limited to come on the stage.
Cheers.
And now I'd like to invite representative from Nuvida Concern Private Limited.
Very good to see you. Cheers. Pleasure.
Okay, thank you, Chris. And thank you everyone for your participation in this program. And this program will hopefully change the dynamics of the recruitment ethics. With this, we're going to end our program today. Thank you very much for coming.
I just want to say something. Remember,
Okay.
accelerate your success and all please go and achieve the vision of ethical recruitment. Thank you. Of course. Of course.